Hello, Jake Light here, gaming lawyer at your service. It has been a while, oh boy, more than a year since my last video on Elden Ring. As always, please be warned that there will be major spoilers for the game's various characters, factions, and stories, as I'll casually drop important information relating to today's topic, which is whether the Academy of Raya Lucaria has a governmental system. As before the introduction of the Lucarian royal family, the Raya Lucaria Academy seems to be the first and foremost an educational institution where scholars from everywhere gather to study glintstone sorcery and the stars. There used to be a place which was believed where the scholars lived, called the Academy Gate Town, but not much can be discerned in this area due to the sunken ruined state it is in. It could have been home to all kinds of people, or a place where trading and business could take place, but we don't know for sure. Regardless, the people within the academy are more concerned with researching and acquiring knowledge rather than involve themselves with other factions. This is particularly apparent when the shattering happened. The scholars chose to seal themselves within the academy, barring anyone from entering without a glintstone key so they would not be disturbed by the wars happening all around. That said, important decisions like that was made for the whole academy, but who gets to make these decisions? There are mentions of ranks amongst the scholars, to which we only know what the highest one is called, Grandmasters, and there has been only two people who hold this title, Azur and Lusat. What do Grandmasters do in terms of maintaining the academy? We at least can gather from this that when scholars who both excel in their studies and powers of glintstone sorcery, they will also be honored with glintstone crowns. Most of the crowns don't really give us any hint as to what sort of executive powers they hold other than pointing out the specific fields of studies, which are called conspectuses, except for one in particular. Amongst all the different types of glintstone sorcerers, the ones under the conspectus of Haima seems to stand out the most. According to the descriptions in Haima Glintstone Crown and their relevant sorceries, such scholars are adjudicators of the academy, and sought the power to quell conflict, and to this end studied the sorceries of cannon fire and a gavel. What's interesting here is not only that they are referred as adjudicators, which means people who make official decisions about something, especially about who is right in a disagreement, but they will also specifically shape their glintstone magic in the form of gavels, which usually is a reference to a judge's act to finalize an order of the court. From this, we can deduce that Haima scholars may have also acted as both judges and defenders for the academy, and would determine local or foreign conflicts involving it. For example, it's possible a unanimous decision could not be made when determining how to integrate Raya Lucarian soldiers into the academy when it was proposed, which were described as being rapacious in their ways of wars and refusal to be mere servants of the academy, which were in contrast with the scholars that has been said to have vows of virtue and austerity. Then logically, the Haima scholars would be consulted to make the final decision, since their conspectus would be relied on knowing the best way to resolve a dispute. Unless, of course, if we assume the status quo remained unchanged. So when did Renala become the master of the academy, and what changed within the power structure? According to the remembrance of the Full Moon Queen, it seemed Raya Lucaria was absorbed by an existing monarchy, as she self-proclaims herself to be the Academy's queen and established her house of Caria as royalty, making the scholars of the Academy subjects of Renala and her kin. Despite this major change in power, we don't see many examples of how Renala may have used her authority over the Academy, as there was never really a need for a governmental body in the first place. Based on Selen's word, the Queen may have once exercised her sovereign powers by declaring that the practice or study of primeval current sorcery by the scholars as terrestrial taboos, and as a result exiled the Grandmasters Azur and Lusat, and later as well as Selen for attempting to restore it. The only other instance of executive powers used is the possibly controversial founding of the Lazuli Conspectus, scholars that focuses on the study of Carian sorcery, where it has been described to be a heterodox pursuit, implying that it may not have been previously supported by the Academy, as it views the moon and stars as equally important. Perhaps this is why at the end, the glintstone sorcerers of the Academy attempted a coup against the royal family, they would have held a deep-seated resentment over Queen Renala's treatment over the Grandmasters and disharmonizing how they pursued their studies. Despite being shown how dangerous it can be if it goes unchecked, they might have also hated how the Queen practiced magical arts not exclusively to glintstone sorcery. One such ritual was used to create life itself. I've talked about the Albonorics in relation to the Golden Order and how they are treated by them, but now we're going to see if it's better or worse to be one in the Academy. As mentioned in the previous video, the Albonorics are artificial life forms, most likely first created by Queen Renala, as she knew how to use larval tears, the core ingredient used to rebirth Tarnish, and also to make Albonorics. How life is like as silvery humanoids depends on which part of Liurnia you are living in. You're in good hands if you are living with the Carian royal family, as they have been shown to be accepting and even viewing non-humans as equals in their ranks. Simply, there have been several trolls serving as Carian knights, and per the troll knight's sword description, they are confirmed to be treated as true knights of Caria and fight arm in arm with their human comrades. Same goes for the Albonorics, though they are not knights. The ones found in Caria Manor are supposedly working as humble servants that are taught glintstone sorcery, with one in particular named Pedia, who specializes in making magic puppets. Unfortunately, the Academy are not so kind. Although there are plenty hanging around the Lake of Liurnia and the nearby Albonoric village, not a single one is found in the place of study itself, though this might be only because during the present timeline set in the game, that Queen Renala is not in power anymore. Even so, there is a glintstone craftsman's cookbook you can find that has the recipe to make Albonoric pots. With both of these items, we can deduce the Academy and the Raya Lucarian soldiers despise the artificial beings, so much so that they would treat them as mere ingredients to make magical pots. With everything we have talked about, you'd expect a bunch of geeks and nerds would have trouble defending themselves from outside forces, but you would be severely underestimating what they are capable of harnessing from stars and moon. Although they are called the Raya Lucarian soldiers, they were not fully under the command of the Academy, and guarding the scholars' place of study was what they were only hired to do, as they were allowed free rein to wage wars as they pleased. They are, however, not a force to be trifled with. Not only do they have proper chain of command similar to the other military factions of the lands between, what's unique about these soldiers is that they also utilize glintstone sorcery in combat. Whether through using items by foot soldiers or casting spells by knights, the Academy have taught them magic in return for their protection. Without contest, the most powerful force of the Academy is Queen Renala's loyal soldiers. Even though it has been said there are only less than 20 Carian knights, they are highly skilled in combat and has managed to accomplish two amazing feats. First, they managed to fight against the Golden Order in the Liurnian Wars into a stalemate. Considering the conquest campaign was led by the Elden Lord Godfrey and its champion Radagon, defeat would have been the expected result. Second, they managed to fend off the Academy's soldier attack on Caria Manor when they rebelled against Queen Renala the moment she was mentally broken and had lost all sense. Even after losing their queen, they remained steadfast and loyal to the House of Caria and kept on defending their home. Then again, when you have trolls and dragons that can use magic as your knights, you might have a slight advantage over other armies that just consist mostly humans. Perhaps the most notable inventions made by the glintstone sorcerers are the marionette soldiers used for combat. What's strange about these puppets is that they are built very crudely and prone to malfunctioning once damaged. Regardless of their quality, there are numerous of them and seem to serve as basic guards within and outside of the Academy, perhaps to make up for the lack of numbers, the Raya Lucarian soldiers or Carian knights to cover the region around Liurnia. But the most challenging thing I find myself grasping is finding out if the scholars of the Academy actually has a religion. My analysis of what little we can find in the game would compel me to conclude that yes, they do, but in a way most of us would have guessed. Despite there being 3 churches in the lands between that is related to the glintstone sorcerers, and if you have played through the Shadow of the Earth Tree, a 4th church can be found there in the Shadow Realm. They do not use it as a place to worship or communicate with the celestial bodies. I won't go into details as to why each of these churches are not a place of worship, as I would be talking about the origins of the glintstone sorcerers and their relation to astrologers, celestial bodies, and to further extent, even the greater will. That would take too long and I would prefer to stay on topic. Maybe another time. But long story short, glintstone sorcerers are more closer to what we would consider astronomers that believe in the existence of higher beings. The common factor in their pursuit of knowledge is that they are in search of the ultimate truth about the origins of these beings. Whatever they use the churches for, it must be for a practical purpose, whether it is to teach soldiers magic, to better observe the stars above, or to hide something sinister underneath. Well, that's what I mostly wanted to talk about. In the end, the Academy didn't function as some sort of government over the Liurnia region at all, and only when Queen Renala took control that things start to take shape. But there are plenty of things still that I was not able to address simply because I don't have concrete evidence to back them up, such as how food and shelter are provided, and how would they have dealt with trades and growing an economy. I would be making too much speculations, which can go in any direction. For now, I'd like to know what you think. Who called the shots before Renala came into the picture? What did people do when the Academy town was still around? Let me know down in the comments. And again, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more of what I make, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Until next time, stay hopeful, but be critical.